Naya was a very beautiful girl who lived with her family. She was the first daughter of her parents, but the second child with four siblings, two boys and two girls. She was the most loved by everyone in the family except for her mother and her older brother, Chuka, which she found rather mysterious and wondered why. The pretty girl was very hardworking and took good care of her siblings and parents as well. But her mom and elder brother made life so difficult for her that she struggled to fit into their complete beautiful home. Naya's father loved her so much. He traveled frequently on business trips, and whenever he got back, he would shower her with gifts and money, which Naya always saved. Naya wanted to be loved by her mother as well. And so one day, she took some money from her saving box and headed to the market to look for a wonderful gift that she could get for her mom in a bid to win her mother's love. When she got to the market, the prices of everything were too high, and she realized that it would take all of her savings to buy her mom the gifts. So she thought about it and decided to rush home to get the complete money. Eventually, she got the gifts and was happy, anticipating the thrill she believed that her mom would have upon receiving the gifts. Evening came and her mom returned home. She took the gift and presented it to her mother. But her mom was furious, filled with rage. She threw the gift away and warned her never to do that again. Naya felt so sad and left her mother's presence, crying and wondering why her own mother hated her so bad. One day, while her father prepared to go out, she insisted on going out with him. He turned down her request, but she pressed and he agreed. On their way, she decided to discuss the disturbing event going on in the house and to ask him why her mother hated her this much. And she said, "Dad, I know you know what has been happening in the house, but you've been silent. Now, I have come to ask you, why do Mom and Chuka hate me? Why is so much hatred from them?" And the father said,
Naya, my beautiful, ever patient, and kind hearted daughter, sometimes it is better to hear from the horse's mouth. My daughter, I can't speak for your mother, but I will talk to her to answer your question.
The following day, Naya stared at her mother, believing that her father had done as he had promised to do. She was expecting her mom to talk to her. She was so keen on getting the answers that had been eating deep at her curious little mind. To her dismay and disappointment, her mom didn't even so much as look in her direction. This continued for a few more days, weeks, and months. Naya's mother was still being mean to her, and Naya was still in hopes that one day her mother would love her like she loved her other children, or at least give her the answers she has been looking for. One night, while Naya's father was away on one of his many trips, they were all deeply asleep when armed robbers broke into the house. They asked them all to lie on the ground and began carrying out their operation. One of the robbers took notice of Naya's beauty and well-shaped body. He called her out, asked her to lie down away from the rest of the family, and was going to commence having his way with her when her mother intervened. Running over to Naya and grabbing her, she screamed tearfully, "Please rape me instead. Leave my daughter alone. She is still just a child." Naya stared at her mother in shock and disbelief. She wondered why this woman who had hated her all her life would suddenly risk her life to save hers. Why she was still trying to make sense of what had just happened. Something else occurred that left her super dumbfounded. The robbers began to try to yank Naya from her mother's grip, who held her daughter tightly and was pleading with tears. One of the robbers then cocked his gun and threatened to shoot them both if her mother didn't let her go. When Chuka saw this, he knelt down, raised up his sweaty hand, and pleaded,
"Please don't touch my sister or my mother. Instead, do to me whatever you want."
The whole place was calm for a brief second. The robbers looked at each other in confusion. Their leader then gestured to them. They took whatever they wanted and left the house. Naya's mother went to Naya and was still crying, telling her that she loved her so much and wouldn't want anything to happen to her. She apologized for how she has treated her all those years. She told Naya that this same thing had occurred before she was born, and that resulted in her birth. Armed robbers had broken into their home just like this and raped her. That incident got her pregnant, and she, Naya, was that baby. She wanted to abort the child, but her husband told her that children are gifts from God. Ever since she was born, whenever her mother saw her, she remembered the ugly incident. She said that seeing the same thing going to repeat itself with Naya broke her and made her realize that she loved her after all. She didn't want the same thing to happen to her precious child. Now, she knew better and promised to forgive whoever did that to her, and that it wasn't Naya's fault. Chuka also said that the reason he was mean to her was because ever since Naya came into their lives, the mother has never remained the same. So he hated Naya for being the reason for his mom's unhappiness. A few weeks later, Naya's friend had come to visit her one evening, and she was seeing her off when she saw something that baffled her. They saw Chuka somewhere in front of them. They tried to hurry to meet him, but couldn't, as he was also walking real fast, like he was in a hurry to get somewhere. He got to the corner of the road and, carefully looking around to see if anyone was watching, he sneaked behind an uncompleted building and followed a small track till he came to a big tree where he met with a group of men. Naya and her friend were suspicious at the way that Chuka moved, so they followed him carefully until he got to the tree. Looking at the men from behind a short wall, Naya recognized one of the men from the night of the robbery. She didn't believe what she was seeing. One of the men handed to Chuka something that looked like a bundle of cash. When Naya saw this, tears streamed down her eyes. She thought, did Chuka plan the robbery with the men? Was her brother a part of a gang of robbers? Naya's friend stepped on a twig that broke and made a loud sound that caught their attention. They ducked behind the wall and made a run for it. As Naya ran, she cried. Her friend, running after her, called out to her to slow down and was asking, Naya, Naya, who are those people with Chuka? Naya, please stop. But Naya didn't stop until she got to her house.